Jó. No. És van ez? Így. Szuper. Jó. Oké. Oké, ez is megvan. Mondj valamit, kérlek, még így utoljára, mielőtt belekezdünk, vagy akkor...
Beszélek.
Jó, szuper, tökéletes. Jó. Oké. Itt is minden működik. Jó. Jó. Szólj, hogy kezdhetünk. Jó, super. So welcome everyone in the very new episode of my Dev Live show. Today I'm joined with Dávid Fodor, aka Fodorsson, who is the creator of the Steam game called Folktale Fury. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode of my Dev Live show. And like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
I think I can. You can call me David.
Okay.
Well, I'm a developer from Hungary. Well, I've mainly been a hobby developer. I still consider myself a hobby developer. I haven't. This would be the first game that I release, and it got shared a little sooner than I expected. It made the rounds in the local news, and I'm in a bit of a weird place right now. I didn't expect to be at the center of attention at this point, but yeah, here I am.
I see. Thank you for that. Thank you. So before I ask my very first question, you said that it got shed sooner than you thought. Does it mean that like you were thinking about that constantly, that it might get into trouble with all the aesthetics and looks of the game, like it was written in the news? So were you expecting this to happen or no?
No. So my idea was that I would share it on certain in certain places, and I did start sharing it in like developer circles, and I presented it at a convention. So a bit of a fan base started developing, but it was a really small fan base, and so I wanted to expand it gradually, but for some reason I just put out a Reddit post, and it just completely every news outlet picked it up.
I see.
And I did not plan it to go that way.
I see.
Because I noticed it's like people think that this version is like the final game, and even some news outlets seem to think that it's meant to be like a trash game. So it looks like that because I just want to make a quick buck or something.
I see.
This is not what it's about. This is really just a work in progress thing, and it wasn't meant to reach the public in that scale.
I see.
It did. So it was just a big confusion, and honestly, I don't think it was very professional from all these news outlets to
I agree.
share it like that.
Yeah, because they don't see behind the curtain what are your plans with the game, right? So
the problem is when you compare it to like released games,
Mhm.
of course some people are going to be disappointed, and like they're going to be very critical because it's not meant to be like that. It's so you asked like assets and stuff. These are all meant to be like temporary, and this is all just basically showcasing my
vision, let's say.
My vision and my skill level. That so I did all graphics and programming and everything in the duration of 3 months.
I see.
So of course, whatever will fit in those 3 months, that's gonna be like that. This is not the final vision,
I see. Yeah, and it makes sense. It's like a prototype, right? So you had to like showcase something in order to get a small fan base, and it's also giving you motivation and everything. Yeah, it's an interesting topic to talk about. Yeah. And I'm very sad that it happened, but I hope, like I said it before too in private messages too, that I hope that you will keep continuing working on the game, because the vision is awesome in my opinion, and it really like drives us forward Hungarians in a very special way. So yeah. Let's switch back to my very first question. So what was your very first contact with video games as a player in the past, if you remember those first memories with video games as a player?
Yeah, I remember, and I just happened to have a cartridge lying around just here,
okay.
so I can actually show you.
Nice.
So it was a cartridge identical to this one.
Okay.
I think Hungarians know this one.
Yeah.
It was very it was very widespread. We just called it yellow cartridges.
Yeah.
And as you can see on the front, or maybe not because it's blurred.
Yeah, it's blurred a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it says 10 million in one.
Okay.
In reality, it was only just 7 games. It was variations of 7 games for those who don't know it. So this is a Famicom clone, counterfeit. But also this machine was made to look like Sega Mega Drive or something.
Yeah.
But the system it ran was Nintendo. And yeah, this was my introduction to video games. I was like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
So I think we can say like as long as I remember, I've been playing video games.
Nice.
And it started with this.
Nice. From that point of your life, when was the first light bulb moment in your life when like you realized that, okay, I love playing video games, but here's the thing, I would like to make my own games too? When did that moment happen, and how it happened to you?
I think it wasn't like a single point.
Okay.
It was more gradual.
Okay.
So, I've always had opinions on everything, and when I was playing a game, I was like, this game is, it's good, but how good it would be if this or that was different. So you have like a desire to change things at that at that basic level, but obviously you don't have the skills to actually go through with it. So I think it was, well, as a Hungarian, there's not a lot of games that have Hungarian localizations in it.
True.
Maybe nowadays there are more.
True.
I don't know, but back in the days, there really wasn't any like official localizations to any games. So what you did as a Hungarian was you went on certain sites and downloaded like fan-made localizations. Yeah. And so you had to have like a bit of a technical knowledge in order to install those. Like you had to change a couple of files and so on. And so I think that contributed to me learning some like looking under the hood, how things worked, and from there it got to like modding.
Oh, okay.
And when you have a game already made and you just have to like change a couple things around, it's easier than starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And when I was like starting high school or like at the end of elementary school, everybody was playing Counter-Strike 1.6, and it was a strange thing because we were playing on maps that were like, unofficial. It was made by players. You could see all the ugly parts and whatever that you would never see in a curated official game.
Yeah, polished one. Yeah.
So it got me thinking, like, someone made this, and I could just as easily make it myself. And so I got into like modding and learning about these things with Half-Life and Counter-Strike.
I see.
And so I started learning like modeling as well. And basically I picked apart every file that I could find in the game folder. I looked at their extensions, learned what they were for. And what I used to do was I made a backup copy of the game, and then I deleted, like, I went through all the files and I deleted everything and started the game. And if the game started without those particular files, then it was, in my eyes, it was not essential. So what I did was I truncated the whole game to the basics that I could work with, and so figured out what was used for what.
I see.
And then I learned all aspects of what a game is made up of.
I see.
So it was modding, and back in the day, popular game engines were, well, for Counter-Strike, it was, for 1.6, it was Gold Source, which was a modified version of the Quake engine. So you had the ITTEC engines, from Doom to whatever, ITTEC 1, 2, 3, whatever. You also had Unreal version 1 and 2. This was, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So these were well-known engines. So modders already knew how to modify these. Also, Walker 3 had, the map editor. So, or GTA Vice City had its renderware engine, and these were very moddable games. So you could learn some technical things about how those games worked. And so for a long time, I was modding games, and I always had this problem. Like, I didn't just want to change little things. I wanted to make like a completely different game.
I see.
And the engine didn't really support it because it wasn't made for that purpose. And so around like 2015, Unreal and Unity got free, and got free, like it was free before, but it got free with all the features that was behind the paywall before. So it just wasn't a new stage for people like me. Like, I could get into game development without any cost beforehand.
Yeah.
So I was like, I tried out Unity, and I realized it was actually easier to start from scratch and do what I want to do than stick to the limitations of these game engines.
I see.
And yeah, like, strictly speaking, game development started from that point, but before that, I had years of experience in modding.
Experience and learning, yeah. That's very important in my opinion, yeah. Speaking of game engines, can you consider yourself making a unique, a very own game engine in the future? Because you said so that, like, you always wanted to, like, create games with your own ideas from the scratch. Does it mean that you could consider yourself also making a game engine from the scratch? I know it's a hard work. I'm just asking. I'm curious.
I considered it, but it's like it's a rabbit hole. So you can always go, one layer deeper.
True.
And
true. But it's true for making games, right? You can always have new ideas for games too. So why not?
Yeah, I just don't want to, end up like Terry Davis or something. I don't know if you're familiar. So you have to always consider like what are the benefits and
True.
what are the downsides.
True.
So you don't want to reinvent the wheel.
True.
Like if there's something that can be used for your purpose, then why would you just do it from scratch?
True.
But if it was justified, either because I don't know, Unity's and Unreal's model would change and you would have to pay a bunch of money or something, or you wanted to do very specific things in your game that these engines don't support, then yeah, it would be a possibility to write my own game engine, but I just haven't found the justification for it yet.
I see. I hope you will, though. I hope you will, because I can tell that you have great ideas, and like you said, you had a long-running learning curve in your life, so that would add up to that path. Okay. You mentioned that you were like in the video game development era or path for a long time. This next question will be a more personal one. Were your family members, close friends, and parents supportive about this decision of yours that you would like to make games, and they saw that you are making these steps forward in order to make your own games? How do you feel about that?
Throughout my life, when I was studying, I always picked things that were adjacent to video game development, but not like specifically video game development.
I see.
I think even if I wanted to, I couldn't have gone to a course like that because they didn't exist yet.
True.
I think in recent years, that actually they started to make courses like specifically for video games, but in the past it wasn't like that. So what I did was, I went to university, for like as a learning programming.
I see.
And I went to different courses learning like animation and stuff like that. And really, family members can't complain because those can be used for legitimate purposes, so to speak. But really, what I truly wanted was to make games, and every all of these courses, they were like in my eyes, they were just tools to learn certain aspects of video game making.
I see. So it was like a plan B, but still the main focus was for learning, for making games. I see.
Yeah, well, it was. I think I didn't have it figured out, yet, and I still don't have it quite figured out.
I see.
So I could go either way, and I could just be a regular programmer or whatever. But I just, in my opinion,
that wouldn't fit you, right? Because you always had this drive for making games, like you said, from the very young age. And I feel like people will come to a place and time in their life when they realize that they have to choose, right? You cannot go between 2 or 3 options, right? Because it's tiring and it will drive you crazy. But if you willing to choose just one, which your heart tells you, and you really put all your learning phases and education phases and everything into those projects, it will probably give you back in short or longer time, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's not always up to what you choose.
True.
There are circumstances.
True.
And you can't be detached from reality.
True.
You have to make a living.
Yeah.
So even if I wanted to develop games, if my circumstances just don't let me, then I might have to, pursue different career options.
Yeah, it's understandable. I just thought that I feel like people always find a way to go back to their past dreams, And I've been talking to a lot of developers now, and a lot of them said that they had this like 10 years of like waiting to have that perfect moment, when they can get back from the 9 to 5 jobs, earn the money, earn the credits, to live a normal life. And they just realized that it can go forever to do like that. But what about myself? What about my dreams? So I still believe that you will find a place and a time in your life where you can like live this childhood dream of yours, in my opinion, because it's important. I can tell that a lot of people who like push away these dreams or push away themselves, basically from distance themselves from their inner child and inner dreams, they became this boring adults as we can say. So, and they will be bored of themselves too, so that's not good in my opinion. So I really hope that you will be able to maintain with your dreams and to release games as well. Okay. How do you feel like, is it important for you to have this supporting network in your life, mentally or financially supporting, or both in your life, or you would have been doing it anyway? So you have been doing game development anyway. If there were people who were saying you shouldn't do that, you would done anyway. How do you feel about this?
I don't want to I don't want to discredit people around me, because it wasn't like they were discouraging me or something.
Okay.
But like, I didn't. You mentioned financial. I didn't have financial support.
I see.
So
Okay.
I worked I worked as a cashier and stuff like that. I worked whatever I could.
I see.
I didn't have that much emotional support or whatever.
I see.
It's more like what I had was courtesy, like, and still, I have friends, and they are like, supporting in like in like, they are trying to show their support. But if you look like, if you kind of scratch the surface, if you go into details, you can quickly find out that they don't really believe that game development can be a legitimate career choice.
Yeah, I know how it feels.
So
they are just trying to be polite, let's say, right? sadly I would say.
So to answer your question, I probably would have done it anyway, even if I had, I don't know, less support or whatever. Because, like you said, it comes from a place of desire and stuff. True. So
like a true feeling of yours. Yeah,
you can suppress it, but it's gonna, you're just gonna
it will come back, like I said. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, in my opinion, because it shows that you're really passionate. Because I'm sure that there are a lot of people who do some things in their life which they might not like, but they do it, I don't know, because of trend or someone told them. But if it really comes from a very strong place of your heart with passion, it will always come back to your life. That's what I believe. So, and it's good because it tells you that it really shows you the direction that you should be going, even if it's hard, in my opinion. And what you mentioned is very sad. I've been to those times and places where like I have good friends who, like, in conversations they feel like they support your dreams and they believe in you, but if you go deep down the rabbit hole, it feels like they are not sure if that's maintainable, if you can maintain with those dreams. And even if, especially if you put a lot of years into something that is not working out perfectly how you intend it to be, especially then they lose patience with you and come back and, hey, maybe you should change, hey, maybe it's not working out. And I'm like, no, believe me, it's happening, you just have to wait, you just have to be patient with that, and or have patience for that. And it's sad, because like it really shows that like mostly I feel like it's a very lonely road if you believe in something that's bigger than you, let's say, and it's your very own child or very own idea. And I feel like it's very hard to find those people around yourself, even if it's family members, even if it's friends, or I don't know, a relationship or whatever, or a mentor. It's very, very hard to find those people who really like click with you and say that, hey, this is a great idea. I know what you're thinking. I know how you're thinking. I know because I've been there in your shoes, and yeah, it's heartwarming when you can find those people, in my opinion. Yeah.
And also, you start to doubt yourself. You start to, if you don't succeed like early on, you start to doubt, like, is it just that? Is it the case that I just want to do it, but I'm really not talented at it?
True.
Is everybody else right?
True, very true.
Is it just me? Is it just a sunk cost fallacy? I spend so much time and so much effort that I'm just too afraid to give it up. And I don't know.
Yeah, and because of the social media existence, basically a lot of people have this doubt that you're talking about, and I agree with that, because they see that a lot of people made it, and it makes them feel that, hey, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I'm doing something wrong, and that's the unfair competition, in my opinion, right? Because you want to compete with those people who you don't even know. Why? Like, social media brought a lot of like bad stuff in people's mind, in my opinion, and it's very hard for people to really, like, I don't know, hide yourself away from all these informations and all these competitional thoughts, because like I said, even me who is distancing, I'm not using phone a lot, so I use phone for calls and SMS really, but like not for social media. And like I can even feel myself sometimes when I go to Twitter or Blue Sky or YouTube or whatever platforms, that like if I see something that is popular or like, made big views or something, or the person got very famous, I feel like, I'm not there because I might not be that good, right? But like I still have these thoughts that, hey, my ideas are unique. My ideas, might be those niche categories where I should be, and that's right. That's good enough. Sometimes that's the thing, right? That sometimes you just, I feel like the real problem with us humans is that like we want to get some clarification, maybe that's the best word to say, by other people, by other human beings, for our ideas. And it was always like that, right? Famous painters wanted to get loved by their work. And the sad part comes from like a lot of people will get acknowledged by others, not when they do those things perfectly, maybe perfectly, or maybe imperfectly, but like very nicely. But when like either they pass away, which is in the most cases it happened, and it happens a lot of times with famous actors or painters or musicians or even game developers, or it comes from a drama, like you mentioned your example of making a game, right? And it wasn't intentional, but it did blow up, and it might help you in the future, who knows? So it really, let's say, sucks to see these examples of like, and I feel like the real reason of it is that like people are not down to earth to read about things anymore. They don't care about things, right? They don't really care to read. They don't really care to know, to get knowledge about something. A niche group of people do, but a lot of people, most people, they don't, and they just go for the trends. And I know a lot of friends of mine do that, and I always tell them that, hey, you should watch this game or watch that movie too, because it's awesome. It has a good story or a good gameplay curve. And they are down to that. Those people who are open-minded, they will listen to others people, but it's very hard. Like I feel like nowadays society is just turned in a way where like people are so sheep-minded and like so closed with their minds about everything. Like the more information is around you, I feel like the more closed your mind will be. And I feel like a lot of people do that. Like you can basically search for everything on the internet, right? But still you end up being like a person who plays just one game and don't care about other games, which is fine. I don't blame those people. It's just like whenever a good game or a game that they might have an interest for, even a connection, a personal connection, like your game, right, with the Hungarian people, in my opinion, they should, at the first place, consume these type of informations about the game, or even play the game if there is demo or there is a full release, because I feel like that's how you build culture. That's how you build not just personal knowledge, but like knowledge on a bigger level, on a society level. And if you don't do it, like, society will end up being just stupid of people who don't care about anything. Like, and I can see that, sadly.
You mentioned a lot of things.
Yeah, sorry.
I would just I would like to go back. You said, people compare themselves to like others, and they say you really shouldn't compare yourself to others. You should compare yourself to how you were yesterday. And then it's a more healthy mindset, because then you will notice your own development,
the progress. Yeah.
Whereas if you compare yourself to like professionals who have done that thing for like decades or something, of course you are gonna be bad in comparison, but they started out somewhere.
True.
And it's like you said, there's overstimulation, social media, and everybody's thinking in like trends, and everybody's trying to like get on the, like, trying to get picked up by certain algorithms, which they don't even know how to work. They just
yeah, that's
they just
true.
They just hope that the algorithm is gonna pick them up. And there's a lot of those people. They just want to like get the benefits of everything in the moment. And they don't build like long lasting things. And yeah, it's a thing that's applicable to our times specifically, because it's never been like this before. And yes, I do miss those days before the internet.
Me too. Yeah.
Because if you wanted knowledge, you could
you had to go for that.
You could go, you could go to the library, and you could have like peer reviewed and like things that you knew for a fact that were correct. Whereas nowadays you can see a million tutorials, and most of them will be garbage. Most of them will be totally unusable, and it's kind of a hard work to even find the right kinds of tutorials. So yeah, you have more opportunities, but also you have to be in the role of like quality management.
Like question everything that you read or see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah. And it's funny because, like, sorry to interrupt you. It's funny because, like, when you mentioned the fact that like famous Hungarian journalists pick, and even like not just Hungarian ones but foreigners picked up your game, I feel like when this drama happened around your game, they did pick up to like build views for themselves, and that's the sad part, is that they don't respect your privacy, let's say so, right? Because if they would have been, they might have asked you that, hey, can we write about this, can we do something, an article or video about this? But I'm sure that they didn't do that, right?
There was one person who asked me for an interview after he wrote the article, and nobody else even asked me. They just did the article.
Okay. So I was right. Yeah.
I just want to say, if you are a game journalist, like, you consider yourself part of the industry, you can't tell me that you didn't know that it was a work in progress game. Like, if you truly didn't know, you are really not good at your job. If you did know and decided to go with it anyway, then again, you're not really good at your job.
True. I agree. Sadly, I don't love the fact to like like to downvote people, but I agree. That's why I told you this before I interviewed that's why I started to work on this Dev Live show some years ago, because I ended up like quitting all my journalist jobs because I felt like there are a lot of journalists who just want to building up hype, or to build up hype by fake news or by faking news. So they might knew that's what's happening with your game. They just wanted to fake it in order to gain a lot of views. Because what you can see now is that I feel like that's always been the case with the human mind and the human race, is that like people always go for the negative clicks. People always go for the negative news. If somebody dies who is famous, if I don't know, there was a famous, very popular video, sadly very popular video, let's say on TikTok, where like a shark was biting male's person's leg, if I remember so, and it got like, I don't know, 100 million views, which is crazy, right? To think about that, people are drived or are loving to see these videos. It's crazy. It's to me, it's like, it's mind blowing, and in a sad way, let's say, and I feel like that's why they go for the drama when it comes to video games as well, because less and less people care about what's nice about a game, and more people care about like what's not nice about a game, right? I always joke with this example that like people, a lot of human beings nowadays in the video game industry from the player side always have problems with the woke stuff in video games, but it's unfair from them, in my opinion, because like a lot of people consider something woke, like there was the game Concord, which had just one transsexual character in the game, and they canceled that whole game. But when Baldur's Gate, which was the third part of Baldur's Gate, got the game of the year, nobody mentioned that before that game has been released, a lot of TikTok videos was up there, with which a lot of people got to know about the game. And in the video, it was like two bulls fucking each other, two male bulls. Nobody complained about that. Funny, right?
It's so
that people complain about the same stuff, and they might not complain about the same stuff. They consider in Concord just one character who has a very small text says like transsexual or bisexual. And if two bulls fuck each other, that's not a problem. I don't consider any of the games bad, don't get me wrong. But I always joke with this, that why do you say it's bad? And on the other hand, you let those videos out there and be famous, and suddenly everyone cares about Baldur's Gate. It's funny, right? Because no one cared about Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Like, there was a niche community, of course, including me, who cared about Baldur's Gate because they were perfect RPGs, in my opinion. But suddenly everyone cares about Baldur's Gate. How funny is that, right? So it's like, in my opinion, it's so sad to see these people act like this, because it's fake. It's fake. It's just people wearing a mask and saying this is good, this is bad. But at the same time, it's a similar thing. Like, how can you say this thing is good and this thing is bad if it's similar? Like, why? Like, if you hate on something, hate on everything. In my opinion, they shouldn't hate. That's the correct form. But like,
hate on nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, people just like to be outraged, and you
exactly.
know, I just want to say, I do have like journalists. I know I know people who used to be journalists or still are. I don't know, and they told me something that really for me was mind-boggling, but you know, it makes sense. That you know, a lot of times an article will have spelling mistakes, and as a normal human, he would say, you know, these people don't know how to write, whatever, and some people even start commenting like, oh, this was written by an illiterate person, and you know, this is really bad journalism, whatever. And what these people don't know is those articles are written like that intentionally to drive up engagement.
Yeah.
So you're actually falling into that trap when you mention these things.
Yeah.
So this is like, they have to resort to these kinds of tricks in order to engage people.
True.
Because apparently, without these, people don't care as much.
True.
And
Sadly,
it's the same with this. Yeah, it's the same with these kinds of dramas and whatever. People just like to be outraged, and they like to complain about things, and they want everything to cater to their specific ideas and needs.
True.
And yeah, I mean, it has to do with social media, because
I agree.
To a certain extent, it might have been like this, forever, but it got to this point, I think, only with social media. It wasn't like this to this extent beforehand.
True. Because you started to see what people have and what people do, right? And you started to compare what we have been talking about before. And before that, you just might living in your house, far away from everyone, right? Like 100 years ago, you had your own house, your own family, and you couldn't see what the king is doing, right, in their closet. So now you see everything, and it's, in my opinion, stupid, because you shouldn't care. Like, you should not care about others. Like, I don't say it in a wrong way. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't say, like, you shouldn't help others, or you shouldn't, like, be aware of others, how they are doing. You should help others, but, like, you shouldn't compare yourself to others, like you also made your examples, because like it's not healthy. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's how people end up having a sad life. And because of their sad life, they just push this outrage that you were mentioning. And I agree with you, because they feel like if they bring down others to their level, they will be happier. But it's not true. Like, and to add to your example of the journalism is like my very ending point of my career, being like an official journalist for other like companies, publications, was when I had to publish my review of the Gollum game. It was rated the worst game of like past 10 years by every journalist, basically. And I was the one who like really pushed myself into the game to really play through the game, because I always played through the games that I reviewed. And what was funny about it, that like I loved the game. It had some clunky gameplay elements, which was true. It was written by a lot of journalists, but like the story was perfectly fit with the Lord of the Rings universe, and it was long, and it was like very heartwarming. It really showed the character, which might be the most important character in the Lord of the Rings universe, but a lot of people didn't realize, even not in the books, not in the movies, but not even this game. And it's funny, right, that like this non-loved character got even cancelled in its own game, which tells a story how he pushed forward the whole path for Frodo and all the characters to have this like ultimate victory for the good people, let's say. And I was very mad at those times, because like I remember I gave a 7 out of 10. It's important to know that I never agreed with point system when it comes to like score, or scoring system when it comes to score games, because I feel like scoring is not fair to like push your opinion about video games. But I had to, right? It was my job. So I gave a 7 out of 10. And when I published the article the other day, I said that like the written article is there, and they didn't do anything with the written part of the article, but they tuned down the 7 to 2 out of 10. And when I asked it via email, my boss said that you cannot give a way bigger score for a game that was reviewed the worst game of all time, or the past 10 years, by Metacritic. So what they do, I realized then, what they do, and a lot of companies, not just Hungarians, they do that they go for the average score. But it's stupid, right? Because if you think, it's simple math. You had to have different scores in order to have an average. What they do is like they do the same scoring by every journalist, and they line up to their score, or to that score, not to have an average, not to have, or would like to, they don't even wants to use simple math, right? To have like an outstanding negative or positive like review score. They just line up with those scores, because if you don't do that, you're not part of the industry.
Yeah, it's
and it's so stupid. And I was so mad at those times, and I was like, am I doing something wrong? Am I really? Because they told me that, hey, you're too positive about video games, and I was like, no, this is objective based criticism. Like, you have to push something that is good out there, because people have to care about it, right? And what's funny that like these sentences was told by a person who was my boss at that company. He was the boss of 576 Kilobytes magazine. Back then, he was the writer of it. And I don't downvote him, don't get me wrong, because he was one of those people who I started to like love video game journalism for. And he was the one who like also like with his articles back then when I was a kid started to help me grow up in a sense of like video game journalism. Not just him, but he was also part of his my journey. And like I feel like these people when they got older, they just went with the flow of this social media and hate and rage. But why? If they do love video games, why do you do that? Like why don't you stand up for your own beliefs of like loving video games and give your objective based criticism? Let me tell you, and let me tell everyone, I always say this, objective-based criticism in video game journalists doesn't exist. Doesn't exist anymore. People just hate on games. Every journalist.
You know, I think you are an honest man, and you know.
Thank you. I know, but it's not good. I always say that I'm pissing against the wind if I do that, you know, because I will get people mad by these sentences. But I cannot do anyway, because like in any other way, because I love video games and I want them to cherished by people, just like it was like I don't know 15 years ago, because 15 years ago people loved to play video games. Now if I talk to a random person on the internet, they all of their words is like, okay, this sucks, this is bad, you shouldn't play this. Why? Have you played it? Most of my friends haven't even played Golem, but they say that that's a bad game. And if I'm down to ask them why, they said, oh, they read it there, they saw a video there, and I was like, that's not the same experience.
Yeah, I think it comes down to like speculation.
Exactly.
You know, like, and I think, you know, if your boss, like, you can afford to be honest, because, you know, you are the one writing the article, but I think your boss has to keep the audience's opinion in mind. And if you diverge too much from what is expected from you, you might get backlash from the audience, and so you start to cater to the audience, and you start to lose your only purpose, you know, to form your own opinion as a journalist, and it just from that point on it just becomes speculation. You know, it becomes like the stock market, like what are people going to think, and you start to play these mind games, you know, like you want to predict what the audience will like, and you just won't have your opinion anymore.
But same goes with the video game industry, if you think about that. Sorry to interrupt you. Is that like a lot of developers nowadays are down to listen more to the players' feedback and players' perspective, and because of that, a lot of games flop, because what developers end up doing is like they scared of like people's reaction, and rather they go on the very safe road that big companies do, or they start to do these back and forth like changing in their vision, which end up like having multiple like, you know, false realities for their games. I always joke with this example of Destiny 2. Basically, Bungie was like doing like buffing and nerfing all the weapons that people cried about on Reddit. And they made patches like every 2 weeks. And I always joke with this, that those patches of buffing and nerfing all the weapons that a lot of people started to cry about, it really became a content for the game, because you always had to relearn the weapons, how to play with them in a multiplayer PvP arena, right? And the PvE too. And it's crazy because like there is a mindset of people, like you said, and I totally agree with you, is that like people feel like if a majority of human beings say something that is wrong, people think that you have to change it. No, that's not the case. That's not always the case. And it's sad because like I feel like nowadays we got to a point where like by social media, people have too much voice. And if some creators are down to like listen to those voices, to those fake false voices, they will change their whole vision in order to like, you know, be lovable for the audience. And it ends up flop anyway, because like let's say just one of my favorite developers like Naughty Dog, who made Crash Bandicoot, Uncharted games, Last of Us. They are making Intergalactic now, and just because there is like a bold woman in the game, there is just one trailer about the game, people hate on it. Like, what the hell? Like, you can't shave a woman's head. It's crazy, right?
You also have to differentiate between people who just have a strong opinion because they are like.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You don't have to pick a side. And that's the wrong mentality of people, that they do pick up a side and they feel like everyone should pick a side. I don't fuck with politics. I never pick the side because I don't care. But if I talk about people who are very much into politics, they say that, no, you have to pick a side because it's important. No, it's not important.
Some people they won't play your game anyway. Like you can cater to their ideas and whatever, and they won't play it anyway. So why would you care about their opinion?
True, I agree.
So you have to differentiate these kinds of people from people who actually care about your game, but just want would like some improvements in some regard.
Very true.
So there are a lot of people who are like politically aligned, and they seek out these things that they complain about, and they are not interested in playing your game anyway.
True.
No matter how you do it. And I don't know much about this Golem game, but I had a similar experience with Star Wars Outlaws.
Okay.
Like everybody was shitting on the game, and I haven't played that game, and I know it's trendy to bash on Ubisoft nowadays.
Very trendy. Yeah.
But I just watched a few videos of the game, and I thought to myself, I don't know how good the gameplay is, but the shaders look gorgeous. Like, I've never seen a game that elicited that Star Wars feeling from me before, and people didn't consider these subparts. They just said the whole game was trash.
True.
And
it's because they don't understand the particulars, the small effects and the small parts of the game, like you mentioned. And for that, you have to understand it's the same of everything, right? If you go to a store and you would like to take from them one bread or just one bag of milk, you have to understand how it's made in order to criticize it, right? Because it's just, if you say that, oh, it's not tasting good, you might not have a good taste for that, or you might don't like it, but it doesn't mean that other people won't like it. And what's the problem? The main problem with this is that, like, it's okay to not like something, but to push your opinion, your hateful opinion towards like other people and tell them like they shouldn't buy it, that's the wrong decision that a lot of people do. Because you're not a marketer, right? You're not someone who should tell that, hey, you shouldn't buy it. But in my opinion, a lot of journalists, a lot of streamers, a lot of YouTubers do that. And it's false marketing. It's not good for... It's good for no one, basically. It's not good for developers. It's not good for publishers. It's not good for players neither. So it's I don't know where it comes from, but like, it's stupid, in my opinion. Because if you have, for example, a 1 million follow base audience, and you tell your audience that, hey, you shouldn't buy this or that game, a lot of people will listen to you, and the less income comes in for the developers and the publishers, the less opportunity they will have to continue making games. And that's what people do not understand. It's like, why would you allow yourself to reflect on your opinion and tell your opinion to others with a pushy style? Because, like I said, it's nothing wrong to have an opinion, right? That you don't like it, but don't push your opinion towards others that, hey, you shouldn't buy it. Like, let me decide what I do with my own money, right?
Yeah, but also, in my opinion, if you allow yourself to be convinced by these types of people, maybe you wouldn't have played that game anyway.
True.
Like,
True.
If you really want to play a game, you won't not play the game just because someone said that it's a bad game.
I agree totally on that. Yeah. True.
Yeah, but I think the crazy part is people, even indie devs, even devs who are just maybe jealous of AAA games or I don't know, they just completely trash certain AAA games or even the whole, even the whole industry as it is, and I find it crazy. Like
I
like
agree.
you can't tell me that you're, not to talk bad about any game, but you can't tell me that there's nothing that you can learn from that
True.
AAA game with
True.
your, side scroller pixelated
True.
indie game.
True.
Like that, you should, as someone in the industry, you should pick apart a game. You should find the good parts, and you should be inspired by it, and not
Agree.
just bash the whole thing because
Agree.
you're envious or something.
True. 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 Very true. Very true. I agree on that. Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like there's also a very important thing to this, that since video game development also becoming a trend, which I see, I feel like a lot of people nowadays coming together, especially like by the help of AI, which is not a bad thing in my opinion if people use it in the right way. But like there is something that I can see in the future, that a lot of people who see money in video game development, they will come from indie sides too. So a lot of people from the player's perspective always blame AAA, that hey, these corporate companies make games just to, take away my money from my pocket. Which on the publisher side is sometimes true, of course, but that doesn't mean that like the games are bad, like you said, and I agree with that. But like from the indie side, it's also happening. Like I can even name an example. There was like this very famous like Tung 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 Sahur Battle Royale game, which was released for the PlayStation, and it got, to my best knowledge, for it got away with like 22k buyers of the game. So 22k or 25k, sorry, people bought that game, to my best knowledge. I might be wrong. I'm not sure if the numbers are correct, but I also read about it online, and like it's a crazy number, right? And the whole game was built by assets. So there was no original, something to the game. So it wasn't like a vision or something. It was like, just a simple game. And I don't blame the creator. It just shows that like nowadays, if you are very like, if you have a small knowledge to build a game, you can make the most simple game, which doesn't make sense, with the simple assets that you can buy from any engine assets, and just build a game and sell it for thousands or even millions of people. It's crazy, right? And I feel like there will be people who will use it. I'm not saying all the developers are like that, because I feel like most developers are really pushing their own vision towards the players, and it's very nice. But I feel like even I name those examples as like those jumping food games, where you have this jumping food, and you have to just press X on your controller, and there will be like a jumping French fries or jumping hamburger. And it's good for example, for those people who are trophy hunters, because those games have a lot of trophies. So basically, trophy hunters are the players who really buy those games. But if you consider those games to a AAA game, don't tell me it's a better game than a AAA game. You just have to press one button. It's basically not even a game. It's an experience for nothing, right? So in my opinion, that's the problem, is that like if something becomes a trend, it will lose its niche and its vision, and those people will like push towards in a corner who are really passionate about something. And that's how you end up competing with those who might not be passionate about the same thing that you do. But you still compete for the people who buy it, the people who like talk about it, the people who like vision it or envision it, or like stream or make content about it, or who love or not love those things. And that's the sad part. Like nowadays, everyone writes books, and I feel like there are some bad books, because like they're not bad because like they were written like a bad person, or the written paragraphs were bad, or there wasn't a vision, but they are not intended to give something to society. And I feel like that's the most important thing, is that like there are some selfish like selfishness in some cases when you sometimes create something. I'm not saying if people want to earn money with making a game or writing a book is bad, don't get me wrong, but there are people who just want to earn money with those things. And what I want to say is that like in indie, it will come forward too. Like you can't help it. There will people, since like you said, most engines are free. Nowadays it's the most easiest thing to make games. It's not, of course, it's still hard, but for those people who are really into it and they just have a good idea, you know, and they just want to earn huge money with it, they can do that. And this Tung 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 Sour Battle Royale was the finest example of this. Every like journalist wrote about it, and to me it was like so sad to see that this game is like, it's not even a game, like it's buggy as hell. You can do anything in that game, just shoot, and it's not even real human beings who you are competing with, just NPCs. And of course, for I don't know 1 hour, it can be fun for like small kids or like, you know, for the people who got really into the meme genre. But like for real gamers, it's not a game. Like it's just an experience.
Yeah, it's just a social media hysteria.
Exactly. But it still sells, which really shows that there are people who buy it. And if you can define the market, you can do the most stupid thing and you can be rich with that. And it's stupid to me. Like, why?
But in my opinion, you know, people are going to eventually get bored from this stuff.
Because, agree. Yeah.
You know, you have two like two things can happen. Either the whole industry like you know goes in this goes down this path and everybody is just gonna make trash games, and I don't believe that there will be that many buyers eventually for these kinds of games. So the alternative is this fad is going to, you know, wear out, and meaningful games are going to replace them.
I
eventually.
agree. Yeah, it's just a long path, right? And people have to compete for others, like, you know, attention. That's the sad thing, in my opinion. That's always the sad thing about this path, is that like if trend comes into something, then creators have to compete with those creators who don't even like love their thing, what they do, and yeah, it's a sad thing. But yeah, in the end of the day, I feel like it's very true what you said, is that like every creator will find the way to find their audience. Even if it's a niche audience, you have to appreciate it. Even if it's just 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, you have to appreciate it, because they are still people who care about you and care about your vision. So yeah. What was your favorite moments about making games, or let's say making Folktale Fury?
You know, for this game specifically, my favorite moment was when I made the. It might not be obvious to people who just casually saw the game like in action, but I made a system like you can write anything for a character. Okay. When they start the match, you know, they have like a line of dialogue.
Oh.
And you can, as a developer, not as a player, as a developer, you can write anything, and you know their mouth will move accordingly.
Wow.
I made this, you know, little system.
Okay, and, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like it lip syncs to the text that you write.
Crazy.
And also I made like, you know, a script for like blinking and like casual, you know, head movement to make it more natural.
Wow.
And it was kind of satisfying, you know, seeing a character on the screen like acting like a human being instead of like this artificial, you know, NPC, whatever. Yeah. So for this game, I think that was the most satisfying thing that I got from my own game. But if I look at past projects, I dabbled in creating like online multiplayer games.
Okay.
And I had this. It was a very basic, like it wasn't even a game. It was just, you know, in development. I just started developing like a little project that went nowhere eventually. But I got a couple of my friends to connect to the game, and you know, all of us had our avatars in the game, and I just had this feeling that it's crazy that these people, you know, I can see these people, I can see these characters that represent these people, and they are all in the world that I created, you know. It was like it was so crazy to see them in the world that I made.
True.
And I can't really explain it. I don't think.
No, I get it. Like, if it really shows that, like I said before, that you're passionate about it. And for me, it's very important and very heartwarming to listen to your stories, because I feel like that's how we drive society forward in life, to share these stories and to really push our vision forward and to help people be in these words, because these words are really interesting if you think about it, right? They might be just small words, but people, like you said, can connect with each other, even on a bigger level than in IRL world, right? And it's crazy to me, because like that's what we are living now, is that like people end up being socialized in video games rather than IRL, which is not bad in my opinion, which is not bad.
I mean, I don't know. You know, in certain cases, you know, it's fine. I used to play WoW for a few years, and you know, it was fine, and it really brought some people together, you know, like-minded people.
Yeah.
But also, you shouldn't neglect, you know, real life connections.
Yeah, I agree. But what I said is that like you can build those or you can have those connections built up in video games by a multiplayer video game, and you can have those connections forwarded into your real life too, because I made friends with a lot of people via video games or via Twitch, and they are friends in IRL words too, so in real life words too, because I always wanted to have them on both sides, on my dream side, or let's say on dream and work side of video games, and on real life too. That's why I always pushed it forward for them to, so for example, to organize meetups for them, or sleepovers together with them. So it's I feel like both are important, but I feel like what I see now and what I saw in the past is that like people are as we move forward in time from our childhood, people are easier to like form friendships in like virtual worlds, because like you said, they are like-minded by the game that they play. And if you think about like at the workplace, it's way harder, because a lot of people are like not working what they would like to work, right? They're just there for the money, so basically they hate that place in their deep of their hearts. So basically they won't be able to connect on the same level, on the same spiritual level or emotional level there.
Yes, but I would also like to add that there are some, not just some, there are a lot of multiplayer games, especially like competitive ones, that in my opinion are really antisocial.
True.
They are not for making connections. They are for, you know, toxic behavior and like being the best and not caring about anyone else.
True.
I don't think you can make connections in those types of games. So
I agree. Yeah, I agree on one hand, but what I see is that it also changed, because I feel like the old days of COD or Counter-Strike that you mentioned, or Doom or Quake, it used to socialize people on a LAN level, right? If you think about LAN parties where like people organize LAN parties, they were mad at each other if they got shot in the head by your best friend, right? But you still was the best friend, even if you yelled some bad words or, you know, some bad things at others' faces. And I feel like that's changed a bit, because I always tell this to my audience, that when I was a kid and I was playing PlayStation 3 online multiplayer games, we used to be happy, and others used to be happy if we met others online, especially if it was a Hungarian person, right? They were happy that I'm Hungarian, and we were happy that they are Hungarians. Nowadays, if you meet a Hungarian person over the internet, over any video game, especially in multiplayer game, PvP games that you mentioned, they will say, fuck you, mute yourself, I don't want to hear you. And it happened to me a lot of times, and it's crazy how it changed just in 10 years. Because I feel like on the OG COD days or Battlefield days or Uncharted days that I used to play a lot with my friends, people, because gaming was a niche thing and it wasn't the trend, people cared about like finding like-minded players, right? And nowadays everyone just plays. And what I see, that's why I said that, like I always said to my audience and to people who I talk to, that the free-to-play formula for games, on one hand, is very good, but on one hand, it gets people in who might not love the game, but they are just bored with their life, and they will push their own real problems into the games that they play. And I met so many people like that like And what's crazier is that like there is a very false like thinking of that these are like kids. To my best knowledge and to my best experiences, being on the social media for so many years and being on Twitch for more than 11 years, I met so many people. And the problem was mostly with adult people, because for adults, you cannot be their father, their mother, to tell them that, hey, you shouldn't behave like that. If you do so, they will fuck you over and they will say that you're crazy. You shouldn't talk to me like that. And if you down on the earth to talk with I don't know, an 18-year-old person, that you shouldn't be yelling at others' mother, you know, or other friends in a video game, they will sit down most of the times and say, okay, why shouldn't I do that? I had these experiences a lot of times. And I feel like that's the problem, is that those adult people who like work 9 to 5, whose life probably suck in a lot of places, relationship, workplace, having kids that they might not wanted. I met so many of these people. And they just push their shitty life into games. They start to yell at you because they have shitty life at home. And I always tell them they shouldn't do that because it's not helping, right?
Yeah. And also, I would like to add, nowadays you have this label like gamers and whatever.
Yeah.
And it become kind of trendy and
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it wasn't something you could like make yourself look cool with. True. It was actually the opposite. True. You were the
true. I remember those times. I with honesty, I say so. I have even beaten up in school just because I played games to blood. They were so crazy. Some of my classmates were so crazy that they brought me to like the other class and beat me up to the blood because I was hyped about video games. That was my, escapism from real life, because I had some problems. For example, I lost my grandfather when I was like 12, and it was so sad for me to experience that I started to play more games because I used to play games with him. And some people in the class hated me for that. Really, they had so much hate. And you were very right when you said that us were outcasts just because we loved something that wasn't trendy.
And when you're an outcast and you meet a fellow outcast and you bond over this common interest, you are not going to treat them that way.
True.
The way people treat each other nowadays in games.
True. Very true. Very true. Yeah, it's crazy to think about like how birds and human beings change just in 10 years, right? It's such a crazy like times that we live in my opinion. And I hope it will shape into a better form, because I would like to go back to... I always say this, that when I was a kid, I used to pray for gamers or games to be a trend. Nowadays, I would just go back to those times when I got beaten up in school, because I played games. It's crazy how people wish for something better and we realize that it's not better. So it's crazy. Yeah. You talked about your favorite moments in the process of making games. What about like the most punishing ones or hardest ones or the ones that you don't like that much?
Making a like if we are talking about things that you make like while you are making the game, I don't like networking.
Okay.
I don't like making multiplayer games, because you have to basically look at it from two angles. You have to look at it from a server perspective and the client perspective, and you have to consider like internet connection and stuff like that. And it's basically, in my experience, when I tried making these kinds of games, it was like making double the game. Like if I was just making it a single player game, it was like half the effort. You have to like consider making the game from a server perspective and from a client perspective, and you also have to like make them correspond with each other, and also when you test the game, you have to test it, like you have to make the server run and then connect with the client, and it's just a nightmare in my opinion. Maybe some people like it. It's definitely one of my least favorite parts of making a game. But also, if we are just talking about casually about game development, a really challenging thing that I had was that I didn't really have a mentor figure. I didn't really have anyone to follow in their footsteps. I had to discover everything by myself, all the tutorials and all the ways to market your game and like how to set up your Steam page and whatever. And I had made some connections in recent years with people, and and I'm not trying to discredit them. There have been they have been helping some people with how to make this and that. I have some people have they have told me good tips for things, but for the most part, the way I started out, there was really no one around me who did this kind of thing. So I really had to discover everything by myself.
I see. But I don't think that's a bad thing, because in my opinion, I can relate to this, because although I had mentors in some part of my life, and I still have mentors who I can rely on, I feel like the way that you described is like you have to discover everything for yourself is mostly better, because like you will get to that niche point, to that knowledge of niche, where you combine it with your own vision. Because I feel like a lot of times what happens is that like some people who might be like, I don't know, just friends, not mentors, they might give you advice that might not work for you. But since you rely on them, you might end up like following their advice, right? And I feel like a lot of friends who like of mine who like, for example, did sports or did anything other than like, you know, just 9 to 5, they follow their dreams. A lot of my friends ended up in a position where like they had other friends who pushed them like into places with the advice of other humans where they didn't want to be. They just wanted to rely so much on a mentor. But I can agree on that. Like having a mentor is very important, because they like have correction or like give you advices how to shape what you do and how to shape your mind. And those are the best advices, right? Because they don't give you a path to follow. They just shape what you did basically and reshape if it needs to be reshaped. But I can totally relate to that, what you have said, because I also feel like in everyone's lives, or in everyone's life, it's very important to have a mentor figure, even from a parenthood, like from parents, or even like in the field that you would like to live your dreams. And if you don't have that, that's how you start to not just like lose your motivation, but also like the questioning yourself thing that you mentioned before in the beginning of our interview, that you don't know if what you're doing is good enough to have yourself at the place you would like to have. But yeah. Like I said, I feel like still it gives you a strong knowledge. So it's like brick by brick you build up the knowledge, right? And that knowledge is strong, in my opinion. It's way stronger if somebody would using a teacher or a mentor every time that he is like lost, right? Because you will remember those things because you were the one who discovered it, not others gave you those informations.
Yes, it is stronger, but it also takes a lot more time. So you just have to
time. Time and health and money.
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
But
I agree.
But also a mentor will give you the most honest feedback. Like you can have a feedback from a player who's a layman. He knows nothing. He just wants to see whatever in the game, and he doesn't care that it makes no sense in the game or it's technically impossible or something.
Yeah.
But a mentor who knows how these things work, they might criticize your game in some regard, but it will be it will have a reason. It will be true criticism, not just this
I agree.
Unfounded.
I agree.
Something.
I totally agree on that. Yeah. I believe in this like statement of mine that I always say, that like those creators who create their own craft, they always tend to put themselves into the craft they make. is this statement of mine true for your life when you make video games, you make your own games? And if your answer is yes, what examples could you bring to the table with those personal attachments to your games?
Strictly speaking, I don't put myself. I don't think I put myself that much in the game, but
Okay.
but I what I can say is I put things in my game that make sense to me.
I see.
Like I can't put something in the game that I don't know about, or
Sure.
or I don't think of it that way. Like an example, I went to this animation course, and
Okay.
you know we had tasks like make a table, you know, like 3D model a table.
Okay.
And you know it's such a generic thing that everybody is going to make it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And like I can't make it in a way that another person made it, because
Sure.
they came from their own perspective.
Sure.
So in that regard, I do put myself in the game. Like if I want to make an attractive character, I'm going to make a character that's attractive to me.
I see.
Whereas it something else might be attractive to someone else.
I see.
So in that sense, I do put myself in the game. But I think I'm the kind of developer who just looks at the game from like a player's perspective. Like I just want to make something that's fun to play, and not necessarily make a statement about my personal feelings.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, you cannot avoid to have your personal like knowledge in the game, and it's still you, right? We can say so. It's still you in the game, basically. I see. Okay. Sticking to personal topics, how have you changed as a person in other territories of your own life by being a game developer for so many years and making games and learning about making games? If there were, of course, any changes in your other territories of your own life.
Of course. You know, this is more like specifically programming and not game development. But I feel like if you're not a programmer and you are wrong about something, you can just choose to develop an ego and decide that actually you're right about it and everyone else is wrong.
A lot of people do that, right?
yes, they do. But if you're a programmer and you in your code you wrote something wrong, the compiler is going to tell you that no, actually that's a mistake.
Wrong.
and you cannot argue with that, because you know the machine is right. So you're I think you become like humble.
I see.
You become like I am not perfect. I can make mistakes, and I should be critical of myself and correct those mistakes, and then you know I should listen to like feedback, and I shouldn't take everything to heart, but I should consider why that feedback was like that, and they might be wrong, but they might be right as well. So be critical with yourself. That's one aspect. Another aspect is when you make a game, you know, usually you don't have all the time in the world. You have to make a timetable, you know, you have to prioritize things, and when you learn that skill, you know, the project management skill, that can apply to your life as well. Like even if you're not making games, I have my daily tasks, and I treat them as a project. Like I treat myself, my life as a project.
I see.
Like I have my timetables and so on. I think game development helped with that aspect of life. Yeah. And also, when you make games, when you create these worlds or you model these characters, you have to have a foundation. You have to make it resemble something. So you have to learn different aspects of life. Like, for example, this mouth movement thing that I told you about. I had to read up on like phonemes and visemes and whatever. These mouth shapes that you make, and it was kind of like lip reading and stuff like that. I got into that topic, to make it resemble like a realistic lip movement. And also I made a game before that was like the aftermath of like an atomic disaster. So I read about its effects on life, you know, like how people would survive. And obviously, it's not, when you make a game, it's not gonna be fully realistic because you have to have a fun gameplay loop and whatever.
True. It's a gamey game, let's say, yeah.
Yeah, but it has to have some foundation. So there have been a lot of games that I developed, not necessarily released, but started developing, and I read about all these aspects of life to make it have some foundation, you know, in realism. So you do learn about life, things that you wouldn't think you would ever need to learn.
True. You grow basically as a person in knowledge. Yeah. I love that story, by the way. I love your answer. Thank you for that. So how the idea of Folktale Fury came up to you, by the way? You haven't talked about that.
So, you know, I sometimes I participate this game jam called One Game a Month.
Okay.
It's held in Budapest. And you know, you have these you have basically, you can choose from 3 topics, and there's a +1 topic. And so they, you know, there's a screen, they make it every month. You have your new themes, and there's a screen, you have these themes next to each other. And there was a fighting game. No, there was a Hungarian folk tales theme, and the +1 was right next to it. It was like fighting game. And I just looked at it, and I was like, there's nothing for me to add to this, you know. This is a complete package. Like, if I add anything else to it, I will just make it worse, you know. So I was like, this is a complete idea. I started developing it for that jam specifically, you know, under a month. And when I presented it, the reception was better than anything that I've ever done before, because I have made games for this jam before.
I see.
I've made like 4 other games. And the reception was really more like respectful, but not enthusiastic.
I see.
But for this one, you know, people seemed like they were interested in it.
I see.
So the organizers, they came up to me and they said, you know, you should bring this game to play it, because it would be a fun party game. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring it to play it, but I'm not gonna bring this version, you know, fully, like a lot of bugs and you know, rough around the edges. I said, play it is going to be like 2 months from now, so I'm just gonna polish my game a bit and bring a more sophisticated game to the event. So that's what I did, and I ended up like, you know, 3 months in development, and I presented this updated version at that event, and yeah, people liked it there as well. So I was like, okay, I should, you know, continue making it. And that's when, you know, I wanted to like develop a bit of a hype, like a core audience, you know, and then it just completely got out of hand. To the point where it was more damaging than actually helping, you know. But yeah, the whole idea, it was really the whole process was not forced. It came very naturally.
I see.
And it wasn't really up to me from a certain point of view, you know. It just, you know, the themes were there. I just picked it. I just went with the audience's reaction.
I see.
So I feel like I didn't have that much creative input in it.
I see.
Like,
I see.
It all came from a point of like the audience and the circumstances.
I see. From your answer, I was wondering, is this the game that was always meant to be done by you, or there are some ideas from deep from your heart that you would like still to have on the working table when you make games?
I always wanted to make a fighting game.
Okay.
And I have made like you know, there's like, I haven't released anything, but I have made some stuff for the drawer, so to speak.
I see.
So you can look at it as like different iterations of the same game.
I see. So it was always there, we can say so.
A fighting game was always meant to be one project, but it wasn't meant to be like necessarily the main project.
I see. Okay. When people can hear or see anything about this game of yours, if you can speak about this, of course.
I really don't know. Like I said, up to the event, it was all very natural.
I see.
And back then, I would have said, I would just continue developing it, and we'll see, where I go. But with all this, all these rounds that it made in the media, and all this unwanted attention, it kind of messed things up.
I see.
Now I have to. Also, I got a lot of people reached out to me, like they wanted to contribute. Okay. And I told them, I'm just a guy. I'm not a company. I'm not able to hire you. So I don't know. Either I have to make the whole thing like organized, and I have to like step up to the task, or I don't know. I'm in this weird place. I took down every graphic asset.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, and I saw that. Yeah.
And basically, I have an empty Steam page now, which doesn't mean that I don't have the game. I still have the game. I'm still developing it, but right now, at this point, I have to consider a lot of things. So when it comes to like timeline and stuff like that, I can't really promise anything.
Yeah, it's understandable.
As of now.
Yeah. But I do hope that all those ideas, sorry to interrupt you, I do hope that all those ideas that you mentioned, like the lip sync and basically the whole Hungarian theme and the fighting genre will stay, because like I said, it's a really promising and unique idea, and if you can like really bring it to the best level, what you always wanted to have, like a fully polished game, and even with online possibility of for the players to play it, I feel like it can really get into the fighting game community very easily, because there are no other games like that, if you think about it, which represents basically a folk tale of that nation. There are some. I was wrong when I said there are no. There is like Two Strikes. The developer of Two Strikes was in my show, by the way. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that game. It blinds Two Strikes. Yeah, it's also a fighting game, and it's a hand-drawn fighting game too. It blends a lot of different, to my best knowledge, Japanese and Chinese culture, if I remember correctly. So basically there are some niche games like that, and they are awesome in my opinion, because they represent not just the countries that the game is about, but also the people that live in that country and their history. So in my opinion, it's very important. And the features that you were talking about, and I'm very thankful that you shared these ideas in my show, is that they are awesome in my opinion, because they are unique, and people, if you think about it, every person on their human level can connect with it. That, for example, they type something in and like there is a lip sync for that. And even if you would happen to combine it with like help, for example, with the AI or a real voice, a real human voice, that the character speaks what people wrote with the lip sync, that would be even crazier in my opinion. That can be done in my opinion. It's just hard.
It is a cool idea. The problem is, you can't trust players. Like, they are just gonna be mean about it. That's the case. Type slurs or something. And then your game gets rated differently. True. You have to consider this.
True. There should be a shield against those things, and it's very hard to build those machines, let's say, that like really shield your game from these people. I agree on that.
Also, I just want to add, probably one of the reasons why it made the rounds in the news, even in this unfinished version, was because the core idea was something that people liked. So it is worth pursuing, but for now, maybe the best thing would be for me to make people forget about this particular version, because, like I said, it really wasn't meant to reach as many people.
I see.
So maybe
so he wasn't ready, we could say so, for this whole thing.
Yeah, maybe I'll just wait a little bit, and people will forget, and then I come out with a new version.
I see. I hope that we will soon see something, because I was hyped. Like, I remember myself when I first saw. Funny enough, that I haven't. When I first saw the first pictures of your game, it was at the Hungarian website that I've seen by. It was like a international Facebook group of indie games. It was the funniest thing. Someone posted it, not you. I remember that. Not you, but someone was hyped about it, and he said like, "Hey, a new fighting game. It looks nice. It's a Hungarian fighting game with folktales." And I was like, "Okay, interesting." And it was like, searching, googling the developer of this game. That's who can it be? It was such a nice thing that even like from other countries, people respect your game. So it's nice to see, and it really shows that I said before is that like there is always an audience for games that have a strong vision and a niche. Ideas which are unique ideas. That's the most important thing, in my opinion, that like those people who care about their craft, they will go down on the rabbit hole to build up very strongly new ideas, because like you said, you will always on this road of like seeing these empty spaces that you could fill up for the games, right? And that's what you are doing now as a game developer, which is, in my opinion, is a very nice thing to see from the player's perspective.
I also want to mention that before it made the rounds in the local news, you were actually the first one who reached out to me. So, to your credit, you
I didn't
saw
know
it
that
before everyone else.
Okay.
So, you should be proud of that. You did have an eye for it.
Thank you. I always search for games. I always do that, and like I said, I always try to learn about new ideas, new games, and showcase to the people, because I feel like it's important, and I feel like that's how you build culture for things. I listen to a lot of rap music, not just rap music, but for rap music, I listen too much probably, and there is like Joyner Lucas song or rap music in which he basically lines up with his life with Will Smith's life, that he has a lot of in common. And even Will Smith then picked up this song called Will, and it's very interesting that, like, if I remember correctly, there is some lines that say that like you have to respect those people who are alive and push their craft to the crowd. There is also a rapper called J. Cole. He also says something that you shouldn't hype up or talk or post about people who died. You should respect those people when they are alive because of their craft. So that's why I'm doing this, because I feel like you and every other developer who are making unique ideas coming to the table, pushing forward your vision for the players, and we players, we should cherish these things, because it's hard work at the end of the day. It's not just, like I always joke about it, one click and the game is done. No, it's hard work, man. You have to appreciate these people who come forward for our enjoyment, because basically what developers and you as a developer do, you make games for our enjoyment. You're creators, and we should cherish these things. And people forget it. Like people think now that it's so simple to make a game that like you can shit on the games. You shouldn't do that. Like even the games that I mentioned, just a jumping hamburger, it probably took a lot of time to make for that person. So it's of course I don't consider it a game, because it's just it's just an experience. But it's also, if you look behind the curtain of those games, they were hard work, in my opinion. Even if they just put some assets together, it's also time. So you have to have at least a little respect, right, for everyone, because like if not, then you won't be able to have games no more. You will have like just people who are sad about like the game industry, and they will end up not making any games no more. That's what's happening now. That like the biggest creators of the game industry are down to earth not to create any games no more, because like publishers are not financially supporting them, and players are like shitting on the games because like they don't care.
The crazy thing. when I presented it at the convention, and when it went on its own way on the internet, I had some feedback. Like, people were like, I don't want, like, it was a minority, but there were some people who were really hating on it, and I just didn't understand. Like, there was nothing to be envious about because I haven't made any money on it, and basically, like you said, I made it for other people's enjoyment, and it just got me confused. Like you can just if it's not your cup of tea, you can just choose to ignore it, and that's completely fine. But like, why are you like actively like hating on it? That was the part that got me confused.
True.
Like, I didn't do anything to you.
Yeah, like they would have like a personal attack against you, which is crazy, right? To think about that, like very like weird people out there on the internet who are down to like criticize everything that they see. They just could move on and do nothing about it, but they do like push their voice into this whole rabbit hole of social media, which is crazy to me because like I got that as a streamer on Twitch too, for those 11 years and more than 11 years that I was making streams. I don't know. People, I feel like I said, it's very true, in my opinion, that people who have problems, let's circle back what I wanted to say. My tennis coach who passed away, and I'm very sad of him passing away, was always telling me this: those people who have problems in their life, they mostly will end up like saying something bad to you very easily. And those people who are in some way happy with their life, so there is some happiness coming from their life, even they have a very hard time in their life, they will end up helping others, and they will help others because they want others to be at a better place where they are. I always say this, that it's very true, because like I have real problems in my life too. But when it comes to my life as a person, I always try to help others because I know that I would appreciate others to help me. That's the logic behind it. And if I say something bad to others, that won't help others. And I wouldn't like to have these bad words coming from another person towards me. It's just the same example of that I told you before, is that like people, my classmates were beating me up in school just because I played games. I don't want it to happen to others. That's why I tell them that, hey, you should be happy with playing video games and you shouldn't listen to others who don't like it. Be yourself. And I know it's funny because this be yourself thing by the social media also gets picked up by very famous creators. Everyone says that now, and it wasn't me who like invented it, so I didn't how they say in Hungarian, that nem fedeztem fel Amerikát. I haven't found out about America. And so it's funny that like nowadays people who wear the biggest mask and pushes false reality, they are the ones who tell others to, like, on the one hand to be at the center of the trend, but the other hand they say that, hey, be yourself, and it's not working together, right?
Yeah.
So that's what pisses me off by a lot of creators or even journalists, is that like they push the biggest example of this conversation and what summarize everything that we just said, you and me, is that like I always laugh about this and cry at the same time, that people say that they cherish indie games, right? Journalists say this, streamers say this, YouTubers, everyone in the media. But mostly no one plays indie games. Or if they do, they don't do that much content, or they don't cherish those indie games. There is a niche category of journalists, streamers, and media outlets that do that, but they also do it for free keys or for money, not because they like indie games. And that's so funny to me, is to see this fake engagement from the media outlets perspective, is that like you can tell if somebody likes something, right? But you can also tell if they are just doing that for the money reason. Of course, I understand them because they have to live it, right? If they are famous streamer, they have to prioritize what games they do play. But like don't tell me that these people love playing all the games, because it's fake. Like like you said, I was the one who like started to search for your game because I care about games. That's how you see that if a person care, or you who were down on the roads to like search for how to learn about these things of making games, and it shows that you care about it. But most people don't care, and it just pisses me off that like every time that I'm in my life trying to push myself forward with my knowledge, I have to compete with these fake gurus, let's say, because at the end of the day, a lot of people will believe these people like, this is a bad game, you shouldn't play this game. And if I tell them, they might not believe me because I'm smaller, I have a smaller audience, I'm not as good as they are because they have huge numbers. That's also a huge problem, that nowadays media outlets are recognized by the numbers, not by the person or the knowledge who does that. So it's like, I don't know, it's a weird place, like you told me, and I agree on that. And I hope that like people like you who are really love what they do, and they are always down to push themselves forward to learn more and to give more to the players. I hope that there will be a time and a place where like the whole industry circles back to the level that I used to love as a kid, and you did that too, because it's important. It's not as enjoyable now to be a gamer that I used to love to play games for, and I feel like the more time I spend on the internet, the more I realize that like it's really that toxicity that you talked about. I feel like that really like flourishes on me and really puts a shade on me, that I'm trying to like I never wanted to be in the center of the crowd, in the center of the trend, but like you can't avoid thinking and questioning yourself, like you also mentioned that at the beginning, and it's very unhealthy. So I always try to nowadays just put away myself like from every hateful, and I started to even like like bring up rules for myself, that I don't read comments. I just don't read comments. I just don't read reviews, because I would like to develop my own. I always was like that, but like when this hateful train of people started to develop out on the social media, I just realized that it's so unhealthy, even for those people who are positive or try to be positive. So yeah. Are you down to go into some questions before I ask some more? There are some questions in the chat. I looked on the chat, and thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Mini is asking, let me translate it. The first question is from Mini. She asks, she was always curious about how Hungarian people can like change their minds in order to use English language. So when you speak English, how are you being able to like change your mind to think in English and to speak in English?
It's strange, because I've always had like when I was in elementary school and people were like starting to learn the language, it really for most people it was really hard, for most Hungarians in my school. But for me, for some reason, it just came naturally. I just had this, I can't really explain the reason, but it was just really easy for me to pick it up.
I see.
So I really can't help in this regard. I was born this way, so to speak.
Thank you for the question answer as well. Okay, next question goes from Mini too. Okay, so next question is like ties up to this question as well. So she's assuming that your workplace requires Hungarian language. How do you switch between those two, so English and Hungarian, and how easy or hard do you find it to switch?
I actually lived in London for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So I just I had to use English in everyday life.
I see.
in the workplace, and when I went home and talked with my brother or with other Hungarians in that household, I just spoke in Hungarian.
I see.
And it's, in a sense, it's not just different words. I believe that English people and Hungarian people actually think differently.
I agree. I totally agree.
I think language actually it puts you on a path in terms of thinking.
I agree.
And yeah, it's, once you learn both languages, it's really not that hard to switch when the situation requires it. But it does involve a different way of thinking. One example is English has a very strict structure when it comes to sentences. When in Hungarian, you can start a sentence that you don't know how you will finish.
True.
You just make it up as you go along.
True.
So that's one difference. And also, we have a lot of words. We have a lot of synonyms for things.
True.
So I do believe, and also the English language has a lot of traditions that you just have to learn them. True. But they don't make sense. You just have to learn them.
True.
When in Hungarian, the whole language is very set up very logically.
True.
So I think maybe the Hungarian language itself puts Hungarians on a path where they have to think logically, just because that's the language that they learned. That's my opinion. Yeah.
I see. Thank you for that. Thank you again for the question and answer as well. Any other question? Bármilyen más kérdés, hölgyek, urak? Any other question? Let us know. Let us know. Nyugodtan egyébként írjátok meg magyarul is a kérdést, és akkor megkérdezem. There will be another question, by the way. Just they told me that I should wait. While you're waiting, is there anything that you would like to add to our conversation before I will ask some more questions and I will ask the chat questions? Because we talked here about a lot of topics, but is there anything that you would like to add that I might miss asking, or that you would like to have as additional thought?
I would like to add, you mentioned recently that people rude to you because they have a bad life. And I mentioned that I did work as a cashier for years. And I have to tell you, customer service is hell. It's in some regards it's the worst job, because your whole life is full of these people. They come into the shop, and financials, it's like a very sensitive topic, when you have no money, and they just see these products, and the products are more expensive than they anticipate.
True.
And so they just take out their frustration on you.
True.
And so I wasn't a stranger to this kind of reaction.
Yeah.
And in some regards, game development or anything where you have to deal with an audience is similar to this.
I agree. Yeah. And it's sad, because I feel like our society when grow up, in a sense, we could say so, in the early 90s, 80s, or even before that, by the power of media, television, phones, social media, internet, went to another level of socializing. I feel like that's when we got these rules, let's say, deleted in our life, where you have to respect the other person. I remember when I was a kid, I was not just respecting the adults, I was even afraid of them, right? Because that's how we were we were growing up, and that's what our parents thought to us. And now I feel like respect is something that our society is missing totally. I always tell this to my friends, that it's not a bad thing if you don't love me or don't love a friend, but you have to have respect.
Yes, but I would also like to add to that we were taught to have respect back in the day, but also like respect older people, but you usually didn't get that respect back from them, so
It's true.
you can
It's
have
true.
problems
Yeah.
on the other side as well.
True. I agree. It's just a one-sided thing. Yeah. I agree on that. Yeah. Okay, there is a question, by the way. There is a question. Let me figure out my chat because I don't see it. Okay. What's the question, Mini? Mi a kérdés? Because she wrote that she just realized clicking on the picture that I told you I shared on my Discord that like the outfits are from Hungarian folktales. But what is the question? What is the question? Or is it the question? Mi a kérdés, Mini? Mi a kérdés? Mi a kérdés? Do you think, by the way, tying up to the additional thoughts that you just said while we are waiting for questions from the chat, do you think like this behavior, this like very strongly negatively impacted behavior will change in the future? How people act and how people behave with each other? Can you see a future where it will have a change?
I think it will change, just not in the way that we are hoping, because nowadays you can see a lot of discussions about censorship of the internet.
Okay.
And censorship is not a nice thing, but ironically, it might end up changing some things. Something is in a way that we hope would change, but also a lot of bad things will come with it.
True. It's interesting because like I can relate to not long ago seen episode from Welcome to Derry. It's based on the It books, and there is a saying from one of the army soldier sergeant that like he says that like it's not the war that we are fighting against other countries, but like our real war is like inside our country, that we are fighting with our own people, because like people have to have not just respect for each other, but like to fear someone or fear something in order to have respect for each other. And it's very interesting because that's how they like, it's spoiler time, by the way, for those who haven't seen it. They would like to release the clown for in order to have fear in the city, in the area, and like in order to that everyone will respect the army and the law and the government. And on one hand it's true, on one hand like you said, and on the other hand like you said, it's also true that like it will bring some bad stuff, because like if you threaten people, it's not the way to gain respect. So it's a very very like interesting topic, because like on one hand you would like people to have respect for each other, but on the other hand, how you do it? Like if you put fear into the table, in the cooking table, then you will end up having people fear you, and it's not the same as respect.
You just can't have everything. Like you can't have everything to be good. You can have one bad thing or the other bad thing.
It really shows. It really shows that it's not just bad or good. It has to have those balance in order to balance it out. Very true. Okay. So Mini asked, I was right about the question. She was asking that if the game is based upon Hungarian folklore and Hungarian outfits, let's say so. But the answer is yes. So I assume
for this version, it was based on a traditional Hungarian outfits. In the future, it might change.
Okay.
So basically, the core idea is Hungarian theme, like a Hungarian folk, or not even necessarily just folk, but also like mythology.
Okay.
And that's the core idea, that's not expected to change, but anything else, down to the little details, everything is subject to change. It can change.
I see. Okay. Thank you for the question and the answer as well. Hölgyek, urak, nyugodtan kérdezzetek egyébként. A Steam oldala a játéknak meg van osztva, a chatemen is, a Discord szerveremen is, meg mindenhol. Nyugodtan csekkoljátok le, és ha bármi kérdésetek van, akkor még most fel tudjátok tenni, vagy majd később a Discord szerveremen. So everyone who would like to ask a question, here's the chance for you now, or you can ask questions also later in my Discord server. Minnie says that those are the questions that she wanted to ask, and she sends her best regards and good luck on the project to you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Let us know. Any more questions? Bármilyen kérdéstek van, nyugodtan kérdezzetek, hölgyek, urak. Még várok 1-2 percet, és akkor utána nincs, akkor megint kérdezek. What would be your advice, by the way, for those people who would like to start out their career, let's say, or hobby as a game developer, from all of your experiences in the bag that you have?
I have a couple of advices.
Okay.
First of all, don't be crippled by the expectations. If like I can't make a good enough game, just start making something. If you can only make a bad game, then make a bad game. Just start making something, because the more you fail, the more you learn, and eventually you're going to make better games. True. So the worst thing you can do is to make nothing. Another one, when you get to a point where you're somewhat good, you might have a temptation to develop an ego, and you just have to be careful with that. You always have to stay humble, because when you start thinking that you're better than everyone else, that's where you'll stop developing, and that's not good. You should always develop. And also, I see more and more that people care about statistics, about like what has success on Steam and whatever.
Yeah.
And statistics in them, like by themselves, they don't mean anything. Sure. They are just numbers. So you really shouldn't base your game on statistics. You should look for reasons why that game was successful.
I can even relate to this topic that you brought up. Sorry for interrupting you again. There was an example from my life to this topic that I always bring up, is that like my math teacher in class told me that never believe in statistics, because like when we learned about statistics in math classes, that like there was a quote from her, is that like whenever you see on television these ads that like 99% of like people said yes to this product, it can happen because of like only 100 people were asked, not the whole society, right? And it's false statistics basically, if you think about it, because if there's the 10 million population of the society or a country, and you just ask 100 people, it's false reality, it's false statistics.
Yeah, I mean, usually there are some guidelines on how you should make a statistic.
Exactly, like, but they never follow it. They never follow it.
I don't know. But
at least in my opinion.
I think someone follows it, someone doesn't. Someone intentionally doesn't follow it, so that the result will be skewed. Mm-hmm. But even if it's representative, you shouldn't statistic is just a data.
Sure.
It doesn't have a reason. You have to find a reason, because if you just follow the data, if there's a certain genre that is popular at the moment statistically, maybe you start developing your game in that genre, exactly. And by the time you finish it, it will not be popular anymore, because at that point people are just bored of it. So what did you achieve with your statistic when you could have made the game that you wanted?
Yeah.
And
yeah, but people are scared to do it. Like there is a quote that like you should do a smaller game, in which with which I agree in some cases. But I feel like if you have the chance to go for your dream game, you should do it, because like a lot of people who make games end up sometimes to develop a game that is trendy, so that they can generate money and then they can move forward to the dream game. It's the similar methods of like the AAA industry, where like companies release remakes and remasters just to see if people are still interested in that, like, you know, series of games, like for example Dead Rising or BioShock or like Uncharted games or Battlefield games. And when, or Dead Space, or any other like very famous genres or games series. And like if people are interested and it generates a lot of money, they can put that money into development of like a new part or new sequel. And I feel like indie studios do that too, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. It's just like really shows that in some cases they are either they are not in the case of like, you know, being brave enough or having enough financial support or financial like you know, shield around them in order to like make their own dream games, or they just decided this way. And it's funny because what you said is very true. And I've seen a lot of cases where like people do, when Bellatro was at the Game Awards, I remember it suddenly had this wave of like indie developers making card games. And like
yeah,
I was like I
succeed.
was like, yeah, it's a one time, you know, fair, it's a one time ride, like it's got
like
away
that
with
one.
it, and you won't be
You know,
you will be just a follower for that project, basically. You will
it's
be
like
on
that
this
one.
shade.
It's like that one folk tale, you know, with the dog market or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, it's like
yeah,
they succeeded because they had an original
exactly,
idea. If you do the
exactly,
same thing that
exactly,
they did,
exactly.
you know, customers are not gonna care about a
Exactly,
copycat.
exactly. And like I said, it's nothing wrong with doing something similar, because you can learn by that way, and you can also generate money, and to put those put those pennies into your pocket in order to develop your dream game. So I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like I feel like there is a huge expectation of, if someone had success with something, an idea, then you can get away with it again. But it's not happening most of the times. And I
Yeah.
see the same examples in the streaming, where too I had like some unique ideas in my shows, not like talking about just Dev Live, but like also other shows where I like had very unique ideas for streams, and like people started to copy it. They weren't having success with it, and people didn't care, because like I did it better. It was me. It was passion, and that's what most important is. That like I feel like people will always tell if it's a, you know, copied style or a copy, even if it's a personality that people copy. People will start to get bored, because, and even the creator who is copying someone else, he will get bored eventually, because it's always tiring to be someone else. In my opinion, it's always harder than to be yourself. I know it's a cliche, but it's true, sadly, or not sadly. Let's say so. Yeah,
You know, best thing that you can do is just take risks, but just take smaller risks. Yeah, like limit your scope to a smaller game, and then if it fails, you didn't lose that much.
true.
But if you just play it safe, you know, you will not get anywhere.
True.
Because
and you won't develop, like you said, and it's very true. I agree with that too. Is that like you will never develop your knowledge in order to make that dream game happen, because you are afraid of taking risks and mistakes, and it's always, of course, harder to say that, to like accept these mistakes and to learn from them. But at the end of the day, you have to do it. Other ways will not work out for you, and yeah, there's a sad part. I feel like that society, especially schools, don't teach us to how to fail, how to accept failure. And that's why I always say to my community members and to everyone who I speak about, is that that's why from a very young age you should play a sport. Because sport, if you have a good mentor in sport, he will or she will teach you that failure is something that will make you respect the sport you do, and also respect yourself in a way that you can grow, and you don't have to be sad about that failure.
I like to say that I have 10 years experience in Unity, which doesn't mean that I'm like this. It doesn't mean that I've been a professional for 10 years. It means that I've made so many mistakes in that 10 years that the only thing that's left for me is to succeed, because I've failed in so many ways that eventually I have to find that one path that makes me move forward.
True, very true. And it ties up with the topic that you also mentioned before, that like having the lack of mentorship or a mentor figure. Yeah, very true. What genres would you like to explore? That's my closing question.
Immersive sim. Okay. I really like the idea that you are the only thing that's like, you are the only contributing factor to how the game will react to you, and nothing is scripted in the sense that everything just reacts to you, and you are the, like, when you randomly generate something, you have a seed, and basically in an immersive sim that's made well, you are in a sense, you are the random seed. Like your interaction is the random factor, and the whole world just reacts to it. So I would like to try myself in that one.
I still can see you making an engine. Sorry to say this. With all these crazy ideas, I know that one day I will see an engine from you and build games in those engines or that engine.
Maybe.
Yeah. Love that. Any other genres that you would like to explore?
Oh, I like a lot of genres.
Okay.
I really like hack and slash.
Okay.
I want to make a hack and slash game.
Okay.
I don't know, like I like arcade games. Okay. I like games that have like a gameplay loop, and you can just be bored of it and stop playing it, but when you play it, you're having fun with your friends or by yourself. Like, I like games like Guitar Hero and fighting games. And
the other day I was thinking about it, by the way. It's funny you mentioned it, because like the other day when I was like searching what companies talked about their appearance of the Game Awards that will happen tomorrow morning time in Hungary, in Hungarian time, I was watching a funny like photo leak. It was a fake false leak, of course, but they mentioned like the new sequel of Guitar or Rock Bands, or Guitar Hero or Rock Band, or even DJ Hero. I love those games and I miss them so much. I even bought a guitar now, a Riffmaster guitar, for the Fortnite festival, because they have, I'm not sure if you know that, but they have this festival mode where you can buy songs for real money, and you can play those songs via guitar or via controller or keyboard and mouse. So it's basically a Guitar Hero or Rock Band. It's just in Fortnite. So
yeah, I didn't know that. I don't actually play Fortnite.
Okay. Yeah, it's an awesome mode in that game too. I do play Fortnite, by the way, other modes too, but it's an awesome idea from Epic. A lot of players were mad at Epic Games, by the way, because of the fact that they there was a game called Fuse or something like that. I cannot recall the name of the game, but basically it was like you had these discs as a DJ, and you could like basically play as a DJ with all these songs, and you can mix master all the aspects of a song, like the vocals, the drums, the guitar, the bass, everything together. And like when Fortnite released this festival mode, they like shut down the servers of this game, basically. So a lot of people were mad because it was running with the same gameplay loop as Fortnite Festival does now. And but I still feel like I always believed, and I still believe in this vision of mine, that like best is always returning. Like you can see it in the trends, you can see it in personal life of people, and I could name examples forever. But like that's why I'm saying is that games like this, like Guitar Hero, DJ Hero, with the actual physical form of like you being the player, not using a controller or a mouse and keyboard, but using another official, like, gamepad, it will happen sometime. Because if you see the fighting game community, they have fight sticks, right? And it's very popular. Like, people buy millions of copies of these fight sticks, even if it's considered still a niche genre. But like, there's Evo. It's a huge event for fighting gamers, and there are small events in every country. Even Hungarian people have like small like fighting game events. I remember me as a kid going to Octagon. There was like Play for Gamers or Pop for Gamers, or I don't know what was the name of the pub, but basically it hosted like weekly events for fighting gamers, and one of my good friends, Norby, was like the host of those tournaments, and it was so fun, and I miss those things. And I just realized it's still happening in Hungary. So that's why I say that like these events and these games will always circle back to people, because there will be always even if it's a niche community, they will have their need for it, so they will always keep up the hype for these games and these events. Yeah. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. It was a very nice experience to talk with you, and I appreciate your honesty about every topic, every even personal topics, even about your game and game development life of yours. And thank you for the audience, by the way, for the great questions and being here with us. Like I said, you will be able to ask questions on my Discord server if you would like to. And yeah, thank you for your time and that you joined us for today's episode.
Thank you as well.
Like I said, I will need some more of your minutes of stream, but for those who were watching us live or will be watching back our episodes on YouTube, don't forget to be on the lookout for my friend who is making this game, and for his game, hopefully a lot of games, and hopefully a new engine, like I said. And yeah, be on the lookout for awesome games from David, and have fun everyone playing games, and see you in the next episode. Bye everyone. Bye.